secret. Oh my gosh, this is incredible.
I'm cool. Hey, you kids, let's get down. Get funky.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Love listening to you on my way into work and
All right, we get the point. We're more worried about breakfast right now, okay?
what plans are delirious?
Sirius XM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90.
Get it all over yourself, boys and girls. Here you go.
Now, the Morning Drive.
Sirius XM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90, live and on the air for this Monday morning, January 30th, 2023. Mike Bagley here in Del Marvelous Studio 1D. In for Pistol Pete Pistone is Kelly Crandall. She's at the worldwide headquarters of the Performance Racing Network at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Sammy and Davey are in Studio 134 of the Beltway Bureau in our nation's capital. We welcome each and every one of you to this Monday morning, and happy day one of the work week to you, Kelly. Welcome aboard. How are we doing today?
Good morning. I'm a little confused. I agreed to come over here because there was race cars on track. I didn't realize I was actually going to have to do radio. So,
well, you know what? You can't have one without the other.
Just kidding. Always happy to be here. But there are going to be race cars on track today here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So how about that? Best of both worlds.
Indeed. NASCAR Xfinity Series testing later today. You know, as we work our way through the month of January, we're obviously clicking off football games. We'll get to those in a moment. And we're also starting to click off races. Big late model race over the weekend in Cordele, Georgia. Obviously, the Rolex 24 at Daytona yesterday, won by Meyershank Racing again. And then with that, we move forward into what is race week on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio with the Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum coming up this Saturday and Sunday. I love this. I'm ready. I've been ready since I was going to say I've been ready since the first of the year, but I've been sick. But now I'm really ready because all that's behind me. And let's drop the green flag. Giddy up. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. It's that time of year again. It feels like just yesterday we were in Phoenix. You know, that's a whole separate conversation, right, of how short our off season is. But I think for a lot of people, we're ready to get back at it, right, Bagman? You get to that Monday of race week and then that excitement, that new year, new excitement, new outlook and optimism. Everybody's ready to go and feeling good. And, you know, you're just ready for the week ahead and to see race cars on the racetrack. So back at it again.
Well, I'm different than other people. There are some people that will take every ounce, every second, every minute, every hour of off season you give them and then want about 2 weeks more. I am one where when I clear the first of the year, right? Christmas, well, hang on. Thanksgiving's done. Christmas is done. Birthday's done. New Year's done. We now are immersing ourselves into the bowels of winter. I'm ready to go racing as quickly as we possibly can. It wouldn't hurt me if the season kickoff wasn't in January. I mean, once the holiday once the holidays get in the rear view, I was doing team chart updates Christmas morning, waiting for Deb and Denise to show up, right? Everything was cooking in the kitchen. I had about an hour and a half. I was updating team charts. I'm ready to go. Once we get through the holidays.
I am well aware of your team charting. You told me that for the podcast, which, by the way, has dropped this morning. Everybody can go listen to that. How about that? Shameless plug.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah,
that's right. How ironic is this? I know, right? With you today, and
the timing of it all. Pistol Pete under the weather. You hop in, and then this is the debut of the season debut of your podcast. Well, tell us about it.
That's right.
What's it all about?
Season debut. Davey here on the back end showing. Yes, the episode is now available. Yeah, season premiere. I think it's season 6, Bagman. I started this in the fall of 2017, so time is flying already. And as you and I make mention on the podcast, for those who are going to go listen today, the Racing Writers Podcast, it's now available. We have been trying to have that conversation for a very long time. We finally made it happen. And you are the season premiere, so kicking it off with the Bagman, right here, we're race week, so I figure perfect time to drop the podcast, get things back going, and we had a grand old time, and now we're here again on Sirius XM Radio together.
I'll be very honest with you. That was a very awkward conversation. Whenever I'm interviewed, it's awkward. I'm used to doing the interview. Well, actually, I think in our podcast visit,
you tried to turn it on me at one point.
I tried to interview you.
You did. And I was you and I'm like, wait a minute, this is my podcast.
I'm used to the one. I'm used to being the one asking the questions, not being asked questions. I went through this with Davey when I did his podcast last year. Went through it with you, but we had a good time. I don't remember all that we talked about. We talked about a lot of stuff.
We did. We really did. It was an hour and 20 minutes, which I did not realize it had been that long until I went back and edited it. And I pulled it up, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I had to start, listening through it again and cleaning it up.
So
but,
of the 120, how much makes it to air?
I really didn't cut a whole lot, to be honest with you. I keep everything in there. Really, when I'm editing, the only thing I'm touching is just cleaning up any dead air, coughing, any ohs and ums or messing up on something, things like that. Right. I really don't chop off things unless somebody asks me to chop something off, or it doesn't, they went to say one thing and they said another and you can tell that's not what they meant to say, something like that. So I really don't chop things out of the interview. So it's mostly just cleaning it up, tightening things up, as you know, just making things a little more enjoyable and easy on the listener. So that's really all I did. So over an hour and something minutes for everybody to go enjoy. We did cover a lot, though. We really did. And you say you don't remember. I felt like we had a grand time. I understand where the awkwardness comes from, because when people ask me questions now, I'm the same way, right? You're so used to your job being the one asking the questions, and then when people turn it on you, right? Like when we did that panel a couple weeks ago, we did that NASCAR summit, right? That was so interesting to me, to have the tables turned where people want my outlook, right? They want me to reflect on 2022 or asking questions. So I completely get that, but I think if anything, Bagman, in the interview, fans will see that we work well together. We're friends, so we're comfortable with each other. So it's just a lot of fun, and I think that will come through in that interview. We laugh a lot. We had a lot of fun talking about the job and how you approach the job, and because that's what I love to talk to people about, is just how they do their job. So, it has dropped this morning. Very good timing.
Who else is coming up, or who have you targeted so far for this year? Ford, promote that podcast. What plans do you have so far?
So I have, including yours. It's a good question. I always try to be a couple weeks ahead. I always try to have stuff ready to go, work a couple weeks ahead before getting more interviews recorded. So including yours, I have 7 already recorded, ready to go. So that will take me into, I think, early March. So in January, once the calendar turned, as you talked about, I started putting those requests out there and getting things. I wanted to get ahead. So you kick things off, and then I've also recorded with Josh Balicki, got to know him a little bit more, talked about his career. So he's coming up. Really fun guy. He's going to drive for Live Fast Motorsports, of course, this year. He's really looking forward to that. I did one with Lindsay Mandia. She is a Fox Sports producer, and she's in a really interesting stretch right now that I think fans will be interested to hear about from if you like behind the scenes content, because Lindsay is overseeing The Clash for Fox Sports. Then she will oversee the Super Bowl, and then will oversee the Daytona 500. So she's in the midst of this really impressive 3-week run as the VP of production at Fox Sports. So for people, again, who like that behind the scenes, she's coming up. Amanda Busick, who is from the NHRA, but there's some news coming this week. A little teaser from Fox Sports of some things we're going to see from her in the NASCAR world. So yeah, I've got a couple coming. They're, like I said, they're ready to go. I've got the next couple weeks already lined up. Some NHRA stuff, some NASCAR stuff. I love to mix it up there on the podcast. But so yeah, like I said, I try to stay well ahead of things. So folks are the podcast is back, and they can now start to expect that every Monday morning.
Wow! And where can they get it?
Apple. So the Racing Writers Podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify. I think it's on iHeartRadio. There's basically it's every platform that you can think of. I'm pretty sure I've got it there now. So it has spread its wings over the years, but all major platforms.
Wonderful. All right. Well, we'll look forward to that, and I may have to go ahead and check out your first one here. See what. Remember what I said. We teased this a moment ago, but obviously a couple of big football games yesterday. And some interesting fallout after each one of them. The first one, obviously, yesterday was with the Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers. And, let's just say that the Hearts weren't the only thing left in San Francisco. Jeez Louise. Well, the city of brotherly shove has responded in kind. When we last left you, they were greasing the poles, and that was a horribly failed attempt to keep people off these traffic light poles in Center City, Philadelphia. They found their way through the Crisco. It got one thing I don't understand in fits of celebration. Why is it necessary to rip the city apart? Why get violent? I thought this was a happy time, unless you're, Dallas Cowboy fans that are in line to replace those broken TVs at Best Buy. But I thought that we were supposed to be happy with winning, and for the most part, things were peaceful and things were, celebratory. But you had a few that ruined it, and police had to become involved and all that. But they were calling their shot yesterday before they took to the gridiron, and the Hats have been in victory lane out in Arizona probably for about 3 weeks now. And I was just waiting. I'm like, easy people, easy. So they're just beside themselves in Philadelphia this morning, as they are in Kansas City, sending Joe Burrow and company back to Cincinnati.
That's right.
Missed it by.
Well, it was a Sunday. We'll leave it at that. It was a Sunday, and I'm sure NFL Radio has a lot to talk about today after those two games and the
Who are you a
officiating.
fan of again?
I'm a Steelers fan, so I have no dog in the hunt. I'm right. Just
Your old team.
It was a Sunday, and it was a football day, and there's two teams going to the Super Bowl. But you know what, though? You mentioned the fans. Like, I am fascinated by the reactions of different fan bases, right? Because you have Kansas City and their reactions yesterday talking about give Patrick Mahomes respect, and I'm sitting there on the couch like, who's not giving him respect? What are we talking about here, right? And then you have Philadelphia, who just, as you said, just goes absolutely crazy with your own city, which I will never understand. But fandom, everybody, listen, we all do crazy things. I am a crazy sports fan. I've never destroyed any of my stuff celebrating. I've destroyed a cell phone losing, but that's a different story. We're not talking about me right now, Bagman. So watching fan-based reactions is always fun to me. So like I said, I think NFL Radio has probably got a lot to talk about today after those two games. There was a lot going on, a lot of topics, a lot of conspiracies, and a lot going on after that. But it was a day. It was a day, and I just sat on the couch and just kept it to myself.
Sammy, have you ever destroyed something in a fit of celebration?
Celebration?
Yeah.
No.
See, like, that's what's fascinating, right? It's like, who does it in celebration? That's what I don't get.
Not in.
Yeah.
I'm so happy I'm going to ruin my own stuff.
When the Colts won the Super Bowl in 2006 to 2007, I was a sophomore, and I remember me and my friends ran outside shoeless, and there was snow on the ground. We were running around my friend's cul-de-sac, and then when remember, you're a Steelers fan, so you remember this, Kelly, when Ben Roethlisberger made that tackle on Nick Harper to save, in like 2004, to save them from going there. I did.
The shoestring tackle?
Yeah, we were at a friend's house, and I did lay under their car, the tires of one of their cars, asking the dad, you can just drive it over me at this point. It's fine. I was despondent. They literally, my parents had to come pick me up early from like this friend's house because I was like, they couldn't deal with it. But no, I've never understood it either. I get like being happy and stuff, but like ripping things apart out of fury. My one roommate one time did try to be punched, like not a hole in the wall, but like almost punched a hole in the wall when the Ravens were losing, and we were like, all right, we're gonna need to not do that. We're
gonna dial that down, please.
We're all adults here. There's 5 of us in this house. No one's punching holes in the walls. The house is not nice enough to be punching holes in the walls.
And if you do, you're the one that's paying for it, not us.
Well, listen, I completely understand in the heat of the moment when your team is losing, right? As a former athlete myself, I'm very competitive. I get, like, something's going wrong. You want to punch a pillow or do something. Like, I get that. Now, again, punching holes in walls and destroying property, that's a little different. But I get how you get worked up. What I don't understand, again, is when you're happy and you're doing it. That's the part that's fascinating to me. Well, or, how about this, Bagman? Or, say one of your players signs with another team or loses you a game or gets traded, and the money that you spent on merchandise you then burn. That fascinates me too. I am so mad at you, I am going to burn stuff that I bought with my money. I'm telling fandom.
I too am perplexed by that. The whole thing. Go ahead, Sammy.
Does it sound like people are just miserable being sports fans now? It really sounds like if you watched.
This is to bring enjoyment.
Yeah, I did not watch any of the football games yesterday. Did not watch it. But you would have thought because I would be on Twitter and stuff because we were golfing and doing some other stuff. But I was on Twitter watching people how they were reacting to it. You would have thought people were watching like the worst things ever. This is awful. Oh my gosh, the refs are stupid. This game is terrible. And it's like, no one's making you guys watch this stuff. It sounds like the fans of all four teams were just, other than the Eagles maybe, the fans of 3 of the 4 teams yesterday were just absolutely miserable watching this game. And it's kind of come to the point for me too with the NFL where it's like, I'm just getting frustrated watching this. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm good actually at this point.
Well, so if you're seeing that on social media, so the game must be good. You know what I'm saying?
I guess.
Because that, I go back to what, because it comes to roost here. If you rely on that to give you an accurate barometer, you're sadly mistaken and you are severely misled. Because that on there, once that gets revved up, and I'm talking about Twitter, gets revved up and starts stewing in its own juices, that is the most miserable place on the planet. And that is that little small sliver of people who are so miserable about everything in their lives that they want to make everything as miserable as possible and bring as misery to as many people as they possibly can. I call it projecting. So if you're seeing that, that's why I lay out of that. I mean, I may hop on Twitter every now and then, but that's just a bad spot. That's a bad place. Because a lot of times I've gone to races and had a totally different experience than what social media said that they were having. And I'm like, well, what are you looking at? But anyway,
I feel like that's every week.
Oh, no, there's no question. It's every day. Every day. So you got to learn how to manage that. Let me back up for a second. So you talk about, doing things in fits of anger when things go bad. And I made light of it, but I will address this. I don't understand all these either they're fake videos or they're real videos, and it just exposes the absolute stupid nature of people. Why, when your team loses, would you put your fist through your television or take the TV, unplug it from the wall, and throw it in the driveway? Either you're doing it for stupid shock value on TikTok, you still got to buy a new TV, or you're that dumb that they lose, so therefore it's going to cost me another $1,500 to get another television. Or I'm just that dumb. I don't understand why you would basically cut your nose off to spite your face. And by the way, hang about a $1,500 price tag on it.
TVs are
when
cheaper.
You could have just walked away from the TV and it saves you a lot of money.
You can get a if you're trying to just break a TV for shock value, like you said, you can find a nice $50 TV somewhere that you can just go do. I think they're all fake. That's what I think.
Then that's $50 that I could have had in my pocket for something else.
Well,
I don't understand it.
You're not a TikTok content creator. That you don't do this.
It's just dumb.
Have you thought about doing those dances and trying some of those? You could do the TikTok dances from your broadcast locations.
I'll film you in Daytona.
It'd be fantastic.
I got you.
No, Davey, we got a new rule: no videoing allowed in my turn position.
If you had your own, would it be
or within a half-mile radius?
Would it be tick bags or bag talk? What would you call it?
We're not doing any of that stuff. I'm not a fan of TikTok.
I like bag talk.
Tick bags just doesn't sound right.
Yeah, tick bags sounds. It's your radio name when you worked in the prairie.
Get your bag of ticks here.
Back when I was on the plains.
When you're on the homestead.
It's me and the lineman out there putting up power lines
for the county, bag man.
You're gonna make Bagman a star.
Coming up on the show, bottom of the hour, headline check number 1. Coming up later this morning, every year we have a crew chief that decides that they want to be a part of the show and will join us for weekly appearances. And we have had so many crew chiefs that have joined us in the past and that we're grateful for. Well, today we will roll out our brand new crew chief regular. This crew chief will be with us every single week, except for a little vacation time when time calls for that. But he will be our weekly resource. And that he that I'm speaking of is Rudy Fugle, the crew chief for William Byron at Hendrick Motorsports. He'll join us at 9 o'clock this morning. Give us a little preview of the Clash coming up. Tell us what's been going on in the halls of Hendrick Motorsports, especially as it pertains to the number 24 team. So be sure to tune in for Rudy. And again, Rudy will join us every week here on the channel as we work our way through the 2023 NASCAR campaign. We're going to take your telephone calls this morning at 866-PIT-LANE. We're also going to take your tweets at SiriusXM NASCAR, hashtag TMD NASCAR.